Good morning, my lovely friends. How are you all today? I hope you're well. I'm feeling very well and very happy and very excited today because finally it's seed sowing time. Hallelujah. So I know I sowed the sweet peas a few weeks ago. I kind of don't count them because they're not veggies. But today the first vegetable seeds are going in. And it just makes me so happy, so excited. Yay! So today I'm going to be sowing peppers, my sweet peppers, a few different varieties, which I'll talk about when we come to them, and my celeriac. So I've chosen now to get on with it because both of these things, the peppers and celeriac, they do need quite a long growing season. So I tried to start them in February. But there's always that balance in terms of starting them, of trying to get it right for them in terms of the temperature and the light. They ideally want to be sown at about 18 degrees C, both of them. Obviously, my cold frame is not warm enough for that, so I start them indoors. And around about now, we're finally getting about 10 hours of light again. So when we get to that 10 hours of light, I usually sort of think to myself, right, sorry, my computer's blimping. I usually think to myself, okay, Vivi, it's time to get going. Yay! So just before I start sowing, a quick word about what I'm using today to get my starts underway. I'm going to be using unheated propagators. So these are great little things. They've got a little matching tray, which is also very useful because when I stop using the propagator, the tray is great to stand pots in, especially if it's in the cold frame. I can keep them all together, I can water them, it retains a bit of water in the bottom for when it's dry, that sort of thing. But these were given to me, 2 or 3 years ago now, and they're really, really quite tough and rigid. So I think they're going to last me pretty much forever. I had previously had some which were really flimsy and just didn't last. So I know you all know I'm not a fan of plastic. It's mainly single-use plastic, but something like this, yes, I will use it over and over and over again. So when you're looking at this kind of thing and buying, go for the best you can afford. And even if you have to go without for a while to save up to get something really strong and rigid that's going to last you for years, rather than the false economy of ending up buying really cheap stuff every couple of years or so. The other thing I like about these lids is they're really quite tall or deep, so that means that when things do start growing, there's plenty of space in there for them. So my pots today, I've been having a couple of blonde moments recently. Excuse me. I was going to be using paper pots today, but I realised I've left my paper potter in the shed. And we've been having utterly foul weather, and my knees were killing me after my day in London, dragging around my granny trolley full of really heavy books. So I just couldn't face the walk down to my shed to get my paper potter, so I'm using what I've got at home instead. So I've got these little teeny tiny plastic pots. I think they're about 5 centimetres. These were left over from a project I did with my great aunt, and yes, in the last couple of years I've been trying to do is have a tray on the table so she can sew bits and pieces, and then I kind of do the gardening and take care of things, but I just wanted her to have her hands in the soil. But she's got to the stage, unfortunately, she really can't handle the seeds, not even big bean seeds. So she's given these to me. Great. I'll use these for the peppers, because when the peppers come up, I'll probably do 3 or 4 in a pot. They're quite big little seedlings, and they're quite easy to prick out. They're quite manageable. For the celeriac, I'm going to use these are just sort of recycled paper pots, and certainly I'll do the same with my celery. When I come to sow that in a few weeks' time, I'll use the paper pots, because They are such fine, tiddly little seedlings that when you come to prick out, I learned that the easiest way to do it with the paper pots is have the pot good and wet. This is especially so with the newspaper pots I make. And then I just sort of literally tear down the side and sort of open it out flat so that I can very gently tease all the teeny tiny seedlings out. So yeah, I'm using the paper for the Celeriac today, and I'll use the little plastic ones for starting my peppers. So I've got all my seeds ready, and you know, I think one of the lovely things about this time of year, apart from the fact that we're all beyond giddy with excitement to get our gardens going again, I think it's this thing where we're handling last year's saved seeds, and one can't help but sort of in the mind drift back to last summer, picturing the garden at its height of lushness in August, sort of remembering all those fruits ripening, so with the peppers, all that orange coming, with the gorgeous little Hungarian paprika peppers. If you remember, they started out almost sort of like a creamy white, and then they gradually faded into yellow, orange, and then the most beautiful deep red. So as I'm doing all this today, I'm sort of remembering the garden last year. I'm remembering donated seeds, the Hungarian seeds, the paprika were given to me. So it's lovely. It's just kind of all these sort of memories come up. And that's one of the things I love about gardening, is so many different parts of the garden are associated with a memory. And it's just such a... it just fills your heart and soul, doesn't it? And, you know, even things like I was thinking, this is all my plant labels. So last year I was given in my Christmas stocking from, I think it was my mum, I was given a load of these little plant labels. So at the end of the season, all I did was, I'd written on them in pencil, so I erased the name and gave everything a good wash. I've got some lollipop sticks. It was a hot summer last year. I did treat myself. Oh, I treated myself to a lot of lolly ices last summer. But I just keep them in this. It's, I'll just cover my address there. It was actually an envelope sent to me from Renee in, I can see on the back there, in Milwaukee. Thank you so much, Renee. And it had some seeds in it. But even just having things like my seed labels in this packet, I'm immediately thinking about my mum giving me the plant labels. I'm thinking about Renee when she sent me this beautiful little package, and oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. You know, I've said it often, and I'm sure I'll say it till the day I die. The garden is about so much more than just veggies, isn't it? It's just the most soul-nurturing, soul-filling thing in the world. Yay! Anyway, before I wax too lyrical, let's get on and sow some seeds. I've just given all the pots a bit of a water, because essentially what we want for our seeds to get them going is we want a combination of, we want that moisture for them, we want some warmth, and we want some light. What I forgot to say about my propagators is they're not heated. I try not to use energy in that way wherever possible. I understand, I know some folk will have no choice but to. So for me, I find that putting them in my south-facing window is warm enough, plenty warm enough during the day. And then in the evening, imagine obviously it's all covered in. In the evening, I close the little vent on top to keep the warmth in, and then where they are in the window, the temperature does drop, so I just cover the whole lot with something warm and cosy. You can use a blanket, you could use some fleece, you could use some old bubble wrap, whatever you've got to hand. But if you're doing it in an unheated one, just bear that in mind of a night time, that the temperature, especially on a windowsill, is going to drop. So just before it gets completely dark and chilly in the evening, tuck them into bed, and then don't forget in the morning to get them out of bed, especially if you've put something on like a blanket that's going to block the light. Right, so we're starting with the Celeriac. I'm doing Prince, the variety Prince again. I'll just show you. There we go. It's, sorry, frog my throat. It's what I've used the last couple of years. They have grown for me, and they've grown okay. They've just grown extremely small, like tennis balls instead of sort of cabbage head sized. So the seeds are incredibly tiny and fine. So what I tend to do is I'll just sprinkle, just very carefully. I don't want to, I don't, what am I trying to say? Get your words out, Vivi. When it comes to pricking them out, I don't want to have masses of them in clumps where I'm going to risk damaging them when I get them out. So I'm going to try and sow them fairly thinly, and then I actually won't cover these with more compost. I find that with celery and celeriac, I think I was advised to when I first tried celery. I think I did some looking up, and the advice was don't cover them. So I didn't, and it worked perfectly fine for me. So I'm not going to be covering these either. I will give them a little gentle firm just to make sure they're thoroughly in contact with the compost. The compost, by the way, is just a sort of general purpose peat-free compost. It's different to the one I used last year, which was quite cheap, and well, I think I paid for it in the end by having terrible total lack of germination. So this is a much more reputable one. Actually, I'm sorry, I can't even remember the name of this compost because I've just brought a bag of it home from the allotment, so I don't have it here today. So yeah, I'm not actually gonna use it. I'm just gonna give them all a gentle firm. So make sure they're all, you know, well in touch and contact with the soil. Maybe picking up a couple as I go. Oh my goodness, it's like we're sowing our hopes and dreams for a whole year, aren't we? We have to be optimistic at this stage, and I think that's one of the joys of gardeners, is I think in general we are folk who are optimistic, sowing all our hopes and dreams in February and March and April and then maybe in June crying into our cup of tea when something fails. But if we don't try, we won't know. I would rather try and fail than to sit at home not doing anything and not try. There we go, so a little label. Pick a label, Vivi, any label. Where's a pencil? So this is my Celeriac. What's the date today? It is the 9th of the 2nd. Just pop that in. There. On goes the lid, and that will go straight into the front window to start basking in the lovely warmth that I am getting in that window at this time of year. Okay, time to move on to the peppers. So as with the celeriac, I've given the compost a little bit of a wet. This is my orange bell pepper. It's a sweet pepper. This is saved seed from last year, and last year's plants were grown from saved seed the year before. And it's, for me, it's always a little bit of a nerve-wracking moment when you're planting your own saved seeds. I don't know, I have so much self-doubt. I don't know why. I wish I could just be more confident. But whenever I'm sowing my own saved seed, I always think, oh well, they're bound to fail because it's my seed. It's not come from a seed supplier. But that's silly, isn't it? Because, you know, as the years have gone on, I do use my own seed and they do come up. So I should just have a bit of faith in myself. So I'm going to pop in 4 per little pot. I'm doing 10 pots. If they all come up, that'll give me 40 plants. I don't need 40 plants, but I am going to try to bring on 2 or 3 at least for the girls next door, because they would really like some, but they can't bring anything on at home. They don't really have the light in their home, so they always buy plants. So I offered them some seed and they said, oh, that would be great, except we won't be able to bring it on. So I'm hoping to bring some on for them. Plus, if I have, you know, if I do get all 40 coming up, that'd be great. I'll have spares to give to other folk. And I think for me personally, I will want to have, anywhere between 10 and 20 plants for me. I think I can easily fit in, say, 12 plants. But, you know, if I can squeeze in a couple more here and there. Because the thing is, with something like a pepper, you can... Oh, it's sticking to me. Come on. You could easily grow them in a container. So, if I've got leftovers and I've got a container of some description and I can get enough soil or compost to put in it, I could always put spares in there. And they're such a lovely plant to look at as well. So, you know, even if you've got it on your patio outside your back door, they'd be lovely to have there. So I've got 3 varieties to sow today. I won't show you all of them, as in, I'm not going to show me fiddling and twiddling like this for all of them. That's the orange bell. Oh, seeds flying. I'm also going to do, like I said, the Hungarian paprika, and I'll do my little French ones. So the slight difference between the celeriac and the peppers is I will give them a little bit of a covering of compost. Let's just make sure it's not lumpy. Give it a good scrudge first. Yeah, just a tiny, tiny covering. Hardly anything at all, but just so that they disappear. And then exactly the same, the lid will go on until the actual seeds appear, seedlings appear. I will keep the vents on the top of the propagators closed, just to keep all that warmth in. But then, excuse me, as the seedlings start to appear, as they start to poke through, I'll just make sure during the daytime, I'm just pulling out lumps from my compost. Yeah, as they come through, during the daytime, I keep the vents open, just so it doesn't get too humid in there, because then you get damping off and they'll just basically all keel over from the base of the stem where it's just coming out of the soil. And then, like I was saying earlier, when it comes to the evening, when it comes to bedtime, close that vent, keep that little bit of warmth in, and then cover them with a little blanket of some description. Good, there we go. Right, don't forget your label, Vivi. Because this time last year, when I was doing this with you lovely people, I forgot to label my tomatoes, so I had no idea what was coming up until they came up. So this is orange bell. Wonderful. Yay! So that's it for now. My celeriac, my peppers are in. Now I'm going to have to sit on my hands for the next 4 weeks before another seed sowing session. About mid-March probably, when I do things like tomatoes, celery, what else? I can't think off the top of my head. But yeah, the next sowing won't be for about 4 weeks. And what I've now got to plan is to start thinking about where is everything going to go. Because I know we all have this every year where every windowsill, every table by a window, you know, people stop using their dining tables to eat at because they're full of seedlings. This year I've got all my overwintered geraniums in my south-facing window still, so they're going to have to move. They won't mind having a bit of a north-facing window. They won't mind that at all. But yeah, it's time to start the seed tray jiggly. Oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I mean, at least at this stage, these are just little trays. Everything's contained. Imagine, for instance, say with the peppers I've just done in those 10 wee pots, if they become 40 prickings out, I've suddenly got to find space for 40 pots. But isn't that a lovely problem to have? Oh, I'm so happy. I'm just so happy to get my hands in the dirt, to have that gorgeous smell of the compost. You know, you wet it and it releases that beautiful petrichor, whatever that odour's called. Anyway, you know what I mean if you've done it before. That beautiful smell. Ah, I feel like I'm walking on air now. Yay! So I'm done with sewing at home for now. In the next few days, I'm hoping to get back out into the garden to do a couple more jobs, because we've had a ton of rain recently. It's been absolutely grotty for outdoor gardening, but fingers crossed, it looks like we might have a clear couple of weeks so I can crack into my jobs, the path in the herb bed, my bean trenches. I've had a little idea for mulching that garlic because I really want to get it mulched. I need to top dress it with some chicken poo. Oh my goodness, there's stuff to do, isn't it great? You know, we'll get to April and we'll all be going, oh, we're pooped, we've been working so hard, it's such a mad rush when we get to April. I can't wait. Right, before I implode with joy and giddiness, I'd better say cheerio to you all. So, I hope wherever you are, whatever the weather's doing to you, I hope you're having some fun with your seeds. I hope you're having fun daydreaming about your gardens this summer. Oh, whatever you're up to and wherever you're doing it, have fun and take care of yourselves. I'll see you all again really soon, I hope.